should we move across to the other side of the spectrum, something that's very much hardware?
Yeah, we'll shift to something very drastically different in the price range.
So the new Oberheim OB-X8 Sunwarper, tell us all about this.
Yeah, so this is, I guess, luxury synth might be the way to put it. I mean, it's a very classic analog synth, simple design, sleek design, but what's fundamental about it is the sound is just insane. We'll play some demo, but before we get to that, the price is definitely a big factor. It's $5,000. So, let's hear it first, because I mean, I was like, whoa, and you hear it, it sounds great. But, yeah.
All right, let me bring it up. We got a little bit of lag this week because of internets, but we'll bring it up. $5,000, $5,000 USD.
But look at that beast. I mean, come on.
It does look pretty amazing. It does look pretty amazing for what it is. So let's just play a little bit.
Just listen to it, man.
Hey y'all, my name is Nick Semrock. I play the keyboard family of instruments. Today we're going to...
Listen to this. This was the patch. I was like...
Oh, that is pretty lush.
I mean, it's classic analog sound.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys can get it over it, but I'm getting it in stereo, so it's flitting all over the place.
I think mine is in mono. But yeah, so that's the sound. Let me read off some of the features, because I would be remiss if I didn't. 8-voice, pure analog polyphony with saw, square pulse, triangle, and noise. 2 discrete SEM OB-X lineage VCOs per voice deliver classic punchy Oberheim tone. Discrete SEM lineage VCF delivers authentic OB-X style tone. So they have sounds that not emulate, they deliver the same sounds as like vintage Oberheim synths. 61 key, velocity and touch sensitive keyboard. Bitimbral. Let's see what else. 400 plus factory programs, including full set of factory sounds for the OB-X, OB-SX, OB-X8, and OB-8. Oh, this was the other thing. You mentioned it was big. It's 32.5 pounds.
Jeez.
So you could get a workout.
What's that in kilos?
I don't know. I don't know.
Eolek, help us out.
Do the math.
Google school.
Okay.
I think 22 kilos is 45 pounds. So it's a little less than that. It's somewhere around that. I mean, don't quote me. I just remember when I was in Ireland, the plates, the 45-pound plates were like 22 or 25 kilos.
Bordering on two-man territory.
And Bendu's in the chat. Yeah, you're never late. Don't worry about it. Good to see you, Bendu. How are you?
Yeah, how you doing, man? Nice to see you here. It's always nice. We've got so we have this thing here. You brought us to the table? $5,000. Sunwarper. Why are we interested in this?
Well, I mean, the sound. First and foremost, the sound. Obviously, it's an Oberheim classic, and I believe it's the last synth that Dave Smith worked on before his passing, unfortunately. As you know, I'm a huge Dave Smith instruments and sequential fan with my Prophet 08, and the Oberheim always sounds great. The thing I wanted to ask and get the chat's opinion and your guys' opinion is there a place for this type of, I don't know if luxury is the right word, but boutique luxury, very expensive but great sounding synth in our world, the small independent musician world? Curtis, what do you think?
Oh,
did I
thought
lose
you were going to get Eon like that.
No. I went to him at the start. I'm keeping you guys on your toes today. And chat, feel free to chime in as well.
The whole routine is out the way. Suddenly we bring some pre-made content to the show and everything's out of whack.
No, I'm keeping you on your toes. You can't get complacent, okay?
Yeah, this is fair. But yeah, no, I mean, it's beautiful. It is beautiful. It's got a beautiful sound to it. Pure analog, lovely, wonderful. $5,000. I don't have that money, quite simply. And I mean, obviously, if you've got that, if you want to go for that luxury sound, that is the cream of the crop. You buy that, you probably don't need another analog synth in your life. It's got everything you need, to a degree. But would I spend £5,000 on $5,000 on one synthesizer? To be honest, I wonder how much, in my experience at least, if you're going for something that's more mid-range, could you get something that might not be quite as good, but is almost as good, and then get another couple of synths on the side as well, and really kind of start to build the Eon Lake studio of our dreams.
I guess it. I guess it depends what you want. That maybe that's
of course.
something, and I suppose the cash you have available, and maybe like what I was thinking is it's a cool thing to kind of dream to reach, you know, like at some point when you get that and you're like, I finally got it, you know, I was able to get this. But that's a lot of money that could go to a lot of different synths or soft synths. Thomas in the chat says, I'm sure Behringer have made an affordable clone, the OB-X8. Yeah, I'm sure they're working on it. They make clones of everything. We talked about that last week. But Eon Lake, what about you? What do you think?
What's the polyphony on it again?
8. It's 8 voice, like the Prophet
8 voice. You see, I think there's room in studios for things like that. Personally, I don't want one of those studios where every wall is like synths, you know, floor to ceiling, brought into a patch bay or anything, you know, like massive full-size synths. I think I'd be happy with a flagship synth, you know, one that does everything that I need it to. I don't really have an analog poly. I've got the mini log, but it's only 4-note polyphony. Same goes for the Microfreak, and that's digital.
Well, let me ask you something, Ian. Like, would it change your mind if it doubles as a deadlift and bench press?
It definitely will.
You know, you can play it for a bit and then do some curls, really get those guns going, you know, get those biceps.
I mean, speaking of the studio I worked in had an OB-X8, and that was my first exposure to any kind of synthesizer, and it was a bit of a beauty. It had an amazing sound. I like the blue pinstripes that was on that, actually, rather than the grey panels on the new one.
Well, I think the OB-6, the one they made a couple years ago with either Sequential or Dave Smith, that has that classic design.
Yeah, the pinstripes. Yeah, I think definitely. But I think I would want if I'm going to go for a massive poly analog synth, it's going to need to do everything.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming this is Oberheim's flagship synth now. A bit like the Moog 1.
Yeah.
Which they're making look like cheap tat with this.
Yeah. Over in the chat, Bendu says, that synth is beautiful, but so large. Yeah, definitely. And then Hydro Fighter says, seems like a synth for a professional touring musician or somebody with too much money in their pocket. Yeah.
Or both. Yeah.
Or both. Yeah.
The road crew, anyway.
Or both. Yeah.
Sunwarper, what are you thinking?
I mean, like I said, I think it's a lovely synth. It sounds incredible, but I think, like Eon Lake is saying, at that type of price, unless you have a lot of flexible income or you're a touring musician and need that specific sound or something like that, getting a synth that can do much more, like an all-around synth at that price, may make more sense. And I don't even know if that type of price makes sense for like where I'm at as a musician. But then I have my Prophet 8, and that was, I don't even remember how much it was. It might have been $1,200 or something like that when I got it. And I got that in 2013, I think. And I mean, that is a little more flexible in what it can do, I think. But it's very much like my workhorse synth. Like, I can use it for everything. So I could see if that's the type of sound you're going for and you can use it that much, then maybe it's worth it. I don't know. If you can afford it, but that's the big thing.
Really competitive market out there as well. I mean, if you're looking at expensive analogs, there are some pretty beastly machines out there. This is obviously one of them, but I think if I was ever spending that amount of money on one synth, I'd definitely have a wish list of things I'd need it to do.
Yeah. I think as well, the massive, again, the $5,000 price list, but the amount of competition, the amount of decentralized kind of soft synths, hard synths, you name it, boutique synths, with the amount of stuff that you can buy for relatively cheap to get a similar sound. Like,
I think for expensive, Sorry, mate, carry on.
No, I was going to say, are we moving into a world where, I mean, paying $5,000 for a synth, is it even viable these days?
I think like Hydro Fighter said, you know, for someone who needs it and has that type of income or is a professional touring musician, something like that. Yeah. Or if that's the sound you specifically need and you're going to use it like crazy and you can afford it, it makes sense. But yeah, I mean, for an independent small musician, maybe plugins for the time being is the way to go, or cheaper synths like a mini log or something like that, you know?
Yeah, I mean, there's two ways you go when you make a synth at that price bracket. You're either making a mega synth that does everything, that's got all the features you could possibly want. You know, it's the benefit of all the research and all the technology that we have now. Or, and I think this is more of an example of this, it's a perfect example of a particular type of thing that is desirable and a bit boutique, and you know, it's like a 70s and 80s synth, but even better, you know, with everything we know now. So I see it as a little bit more niche than some of its competitors, maybe. Yeah. And it is for people, you know, who consider it no small, you know, it's no thing to drop $5,000 on a synth.
Yeah.
Which obviously none of us. Yeah, exactly. One day.
Yeah, one day.
Well, maybe when a few more people are listening to fragments too. So if you like that clip, consider going across to YouTube, Spotify, or Apple Music to check the full Audionautic Deep Space Network live stream.
Yeah, and if you want to join us for the next live stream, they are on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. UTC.
And finally, we do have the Audionautic Radio playlist, which is in the description below. Some of the greatest cross-section of the underground electronic world that you see. IDM, ambient, down-tempo, you name it, it's in there. It's great. Curated by Sunwarper.
Yeah, so if you're looking to find some new music or just see what's new in the electronic sphere, head to that link in the description, and we hope to see you at the next Audionautic Deep Space Network.
Thanks for watching. See you around.